friends, I am the Dungeon Tutor. Welcome! Today we are going to be discussing a question from RPGaDay. Well, more of a guided topic, but today is a pretty good one. This one's going to be a great one if you want to look around other RPGaDay videos. This one is basically begging you to do something that most role players can't be stopped from doing, and that is tell us about your favorite character. Well, that's what we love to do, don't we? We love talking about our characters. Let me tell you about my character and what my character's done and the coolest things. But I'm a game master. Primarily, I don't play. I run games. But I have played before. And while I do have some favorite NPCs that I've run, you don't get quite the same personal connection as you do with the character that you're playing. So I'm going to limit this question to just characters that I've played. Now, that first character certainly has a sentimental place in my heart, if I could remember him. The first character that I ever made was just randomly rolled up as soon as I got the rules and I wanted to try it. I couldn't tell you what class they were, I couldn't tell you their name. It was for basic Dungeons & Dragons, and that's all I can tell you. The character I remember the most from those earliest of days was my very first Advanced Dungeons & Dragons character, which I do have in a box here somewhere. His name was Crostula, because I was brought up Catholic, and when I was told I was going to be playing a cleric, a holy person with powers of healing, I was like, well, he's going to be, Christian priest, and that's the name I came up with. Okay, I wasn't always a writer. I mean, I've always been writing, but that wasn't my best name, let's be honest, but such as it was. He had red hair and green eyes. I don't know why I had Christmas themes going there. And he was a first level cleric. I did not roll him. Actually, I take it back. He never was first level. I joined the campaign late, so they needed a healer, so I got to play the cleric, and he was not first level when I started. I think I started at 3rd or 4th. I could be wrong, but I think about 3rd or 4th. So I missed the growing pains of that first session with no magic. Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, am I right? No, I had enough wisdom. I would get some bonus spells and things down the road, but realistically, I was stock, lawful good. My alignment was also dictated to me because of my fellow players. Thank you guys. They wanted a lawful good healing battery, which is fine. It's my first character. I was paying my dues. I was learning how to play from all these people who had played before me. It was fine. I played, and for the most part, there were several stories that I have already related and several others which have not been related about that very first character. If you want to go back and check my other videos, feel free. But still, that first one is special, but at the same time, it was an Advanced Dungeons & Dragons character played through a variety of the pre-made campaign modules, so I can't say that anything I did had that personal feel to it. There's a little bit of role-playing there, sure. I was lily white lawful good, never did anything wrong, practically could have been a saint, even if our group sometimes did some not-so-nice things, but that was what I knew and what I played, which was fine. It was a perfectly fine character. We got quite high level because we gave ourselves a level after every module that we finished, rather than worrying about experience, which predated the milestone system, which, is cool. But, yeah, it was my first taste into playing in a lengthy campaign, learned some about game mastering from watching the game masters at work, and it was fine. But the last campaign that I was a part of, a full-on campaign, was playing Horde of the Dragon Queen and then going into Rise of Tiamat, so it was the whole Tyranny of Dragons experience. First of all, I made one character, Galhard, who was a Goliath barbarian. And he was great. I'd never played a barbarian before, so I was looking forward to it. It was liberating. Just the ability I could throw myself at anything and survive. I could create mayhem untold of, picking my foes up, throwing them away. gave myself a code of honor so that he could only use the weapon of the last foe that he slew, unless they were a worthy opponent, in which case he would use the one weapon he chose to carry with him, which was the best weapon that he had found up to this point. Through most of the campaign, it was a long greatsword. He found a nice greatsword. And that greatsword was only used against a handful of creatures, including dragons. But after a while, I was like, you know, this is my first time playing 5th edition D&D in a campaign, and goodness knows the next time I'll actually get to do it. I really would like to get a chance to play my favorite class and take it for a spin in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. I want to play a wizard. And I want to play a kind of wizard that I was never able to play before in earlier editions. Why? Because some races could not be certain classes. And the race and class combination that I chose was one that was definitely forbidden back in the day for several obvious reasons. And it was a dwarf wizard. Now, I like dwarves. I really do. Not all dwarves have Scottish accents, but, you know, something that's just right about playing a dwarf with a thick Scottish brogue who tells people exactly to their face what he's about to do to them. Oh, I loved him. His name was Corbrecht Cinderflume, and he started out as a relatively low-level dwarf. Galhard took the first three levels of the game before I decided I'd really like to try to play a wizard. And the Game Master let me, no problem. We were at a place, if you've done... first of all, actually, when I say we did Horde of the Dragon Queen, that actually wasn't correct. We actually did Lost Mine of Phandelver first, which flowed into Horde of the Dragon Queen, which then ended up turning into Rise of Tiamat. And basically Galhard took Phandelver, and from that point on it was pretty much the Corbrecht show. There was a point where I did switch back for some fun mayhem. Oh my gosh, the mayhem was just too mayhemish. Just, again, throwing myself at things and just extreme ridiculousness. It was glorious. But, yeah, after that, it was Corbrecht. And the Game Master was really good. He had a world that felt living and breathing. You felt like you were important, but not, you know, this massive main hero syndrome where you are the only person who can do anything. That wasn't until later, when you get to Rise of Tiamat, it gets really silly that, you know, everybody, kings, queens, nobles, look at you like, guess you're the point people for this? Despite the fact you're in a world with people like Drizzt and Elminster and stuff. Nope, it's definitely you. You've been chosen by the gods to carry the battle forth against Tiamat. Okay, whatever. That I don't blame the Game Master for. It really is written for main character syndrome for that story. But while we were playing characters, sometimes I would beg him to kind of pump the brakes so we could actually live as our characters for a little while and not feel the ever-present burden of saving the world on our shoulders. And just sometimes have a night off. Just throwing a party, having a good time. Yeah, that sometimes went horribly awry. Most of the time, but it was great feeling like you could be your character for a while. And my character was tied in with the Adventurers Guild we belonged to that had guild houses, and we got up to a level where we were basically like second in commands in the guild house. There was the leader, and we supported her, but you know, we were pretty big in the guild too. And of course, since we're doing this whole saving the world thing and hobnobbing with the Council of Lords, great. We were pretty cool. And my dwarf the whole time, he did wizardly things. He loved to make spells and scribe out his spell book. And when you use spell cards, that is such a great tool for spellcasters, because there's something just thrilling about having I use this small binder with lots of card pages, and I'm just slotting card pages in with the spells. And when it comes to memorizing the spells for the day, then you just go into the spell book binder and take your My Brain binder and open it up, and I want that and that and that. It's like buying from a buffet of magic. It's awesome. So yes, anybody who's playing a wizard, highly recommend using those cards. It's great. And Corbrecht took crap from no one because he's a freaking dwarven wizard. I don't know if you knew that. Oh yeah, tell anybody, I'm a dwarven wizard, which makes me at least 15 times better than you and your trash garbage. Oh yeah, smack-talking bad guys, smack-talking good guys sometimes, because he was charismatic enough when he wanted to be, but quite honestly, we had to deal with so many shenanigans from people who you think really should have been written to know better. Especially in a world with powerful magic, powerful wizards seem to know very little about magic and how it all works. So we ended up with a couple of people that probably should have been given a bit more respect that we were kind of treating contemptuously because they were more obstacles in our way than anything. But they were still the quest givers, so we had to kind of kowtow to that. But it was so good. Feeling like you were playing, like I was my character, speaking in character more often than not when I was at the table, because I wanted to live every bit of his existence for a bit. It was so, I don't know, liberating is a good word for it, because, again, there was all this import of what he was doing and saying. What he did and said mattered quite a bit to himself, to the people around him. Layering his magical disciplines to make other people better. That's what I did more often than leading with a fireball. I think, total of campaign, I'm playing a wizard, but I think I only threw 2 fireballs. That was about it. I spent far more time buffing up at my allies and doing shenanigans to short-circuit my enemies that I didn't really have time to throw a lot of direct damage around, so yeah, it was still fun. He was an abjurer, by the way, so yeah, a lot of his magic was like, okay, well, you don't have to worry about other wizards casting spells at us, because I will counterspell anything that they try to do. And they... oh, sorry. Oh, you don't have to worry about their spellcasters. Pfft, they're spellcasters. I can more than counterspell anything they try to throw at us. Don't worry about that. You worry about all the sword swingers and axe wavers that are going to be up against us. Yeah, that was more Corbrecht. Cocky and arrogant, yes. Sometimes overwhelmed, yeah, there were some encounters that definitely were not meant for just one spellcaster to stand against multiples. But I do like to think that I was pretty darn effective most of the time, and that felt really good, because oftentimes I make characters that are support characters. Whether I intend to or not, my playstyle is more support than it is direct damage, although I can do some tanking. In terms of playstyle, that has nothing to do with the characters themselves. It's just what I tend towards more. And, like I said, I loved Corbrecht. Corbrecht, I felt as real to me as just about anything. A good portion of that falls on the shoulder and the credit of the Game Master. My friend Greg ran the game. He did a fine job. Again, sometimes making ribeye out of cube steak. But he did a really good job running that game in a way that felt good, despite the fact, again, there are some really smart people who are written as being really stupid in that storyline. But we had fun. It was a great game, and I really, really did enjoy it. And I was very sad to see it end, honestly. I know full well when players go, oh, can we play just a little longer? Can't you whip up something else? But it was time for that game to end. I mean, we just banished Tiamat. It was time. We made sure she wasn't going to come back through that back door ever again. Everything was resolved. It was fine. And yeah, it was a good ending. The victory lap at the end was nice. A great party, and we were all very cool. And my character ended up matching healing potions that were also ale, which meant you could, yes, get drunk healing yourself, but there was a lot better tasting than real healing potions, I fully believe. As well as other things. I mean, it was the character was primed to be a mover and a shaker in the world, and it was cool. So I felt fine leaving him on that shade of the Forgotten Realms to stand on his own feet and, you know, tell the world what he thought of it. He was, I would have to say, my favorite character. I know, and right now I'm running, a lot of them are jumping out in my head, but most of them are fond memories of a specific moment. With Corbrecht, it was the whole experience, the entire package. that was really cool and really special. So, I'll give him the nod this time. So, that's my story. I hope you were entertained by it. Really, that's what I want in a character. One that I can just kind of walk around in their shoes and feel like I'm them for a while, which is why I try so hard to bring that reality and that realism to my game with lavish description and hopefully, intelligent NPCs who make sense, and encounters that make sense, even if they sometimes don't feel fair. It's usually because the players are operating without full knowledge of what's going on. But if they find out about it, I tell them later, they go, oh, okay, that makes sense. So that makes me happy. But that is my story, and you are welcome to it for another day of RPG a Day. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please think about subscribing to my channel and notifying yourself when I make more videos. Liking it tells me you think I did a good job, and I do appreciate it when you do. Leaving a comment below, though, makes me incredibly happy, and I really hope you consider. And if somebody else needs a good story about a gamer who's lived a good gaming life and has several fantastic characters under their belt, if you want to spread the tale of Corbrecht Cinderflume, I have a feeling it's not the last time I'll be talking about Corbrecht in my videos. And again, I do hope to see you in future videos. I've got so many more to do, both for this month and beyond, so if I should chance to see you in another video, I do hope that in the time between then and now, you get a chance to roll some dice, play some games, have some fun, and stay safe out there, my friends. Until that next time, farewell.